Hey, Beatrice, can you hear me? B, can you hear me?
Yes, good morning.
Okay, excellent. I'm going to start the broadcast.
Awesome.
All right. Okay, thank you guys for coming. In this webinar, we're going to take a look at annotations, including how to make stamps with variables and how to make custom stamps. So I try to keep these webinars to 15 minutes. So I sometimes will move quickly, but I do record these and I will send out a link to the recording to everyone who registered. So we're just going to jump right into this. First, I am in the attachment screen of a folder that I created, and I'm in a PDF document. Okay, some of this might be review for you. A lot of people know how to use annotations. So first, we're going to go through the sidebar really quickly. We have our cursor tool. We use our cursor tool so that we don't accidentally create multiple stamps if we're trying to select a stamp that we've already put down. We have our line tool, our text label, our sticky note, our highlight, our redact tool, oval tool, freehand tools. I don't like the freehand tools. I'm no good at them. Our image tool and our stamps tool, and then our snippet tool. I'm not going to go into those specifically because those are very simple. So how do we create stamps? What we're going to do is go into a folder, select an image file or a PDF file. We're going to put the folder in edit mode. And now we're going to come down to our stamp tool, our custom annotations button. When we click it, you're going to notice here's some of the stamps that I already have in here. And we have this wrench. That is where we go to create stamps. So we're going to click on the wrench. We're going to click new. And we have our little blank canvas here. This is where we're going to create our stamp. So I'm just going to create a generic stamp by coming down to my stamp button, my rubber stamp. I'm just going to click it here. Notice it just starts out with stamp. If you come over to the right side, you can type something. So if I put sent, okay, then you have to give it a name. I'll call it sent, and my button abbreviation will just be S, I guess. And if I save that, here it is. It's checked in this checkbox, which means it's going to show up as an option. So I'm going to close this now. Here's my sent stamp. If I click it, there you go. If I select it, you can resize these stamps, okay? And it changes the size. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and delete that. Now I'm going to create a stamp with a variable. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go to the custom annotations button, go click on the wrench, and now I can just reuse this one or I can create a new one. So I can click this stamp. Notice we have this button, add a variable. So I'm going to delete the text. I don't want it to say stamp. And I'm going to have, when I click down, look at how many things we have. You can have any field that's in your forms as a variable. So whatever folder you're in, if you wanted the address, for example, it would be, the stamp would change every folder you're in to the address in that folder. We also have some other cool ones like current date and time. If I click that, it puts a little code in there for the date and time. Okay, so if I create that as date time, we'll call it DT. I'm going to save that. And what that's going to do is when I put that one down, it's going to give me the date and the time. And remember, because it's a stamp, we can change the size. Okay, now I do want to make a slight modification to this so I can show you. We can use the same date and time stamp as a label if I wanted to. So I come in here, you don't have the help on the side. Let's say I want one that's telling me that it's going to be sent and the date and time that it's sent. So I can type in that code, kind of center it a little bit. I don't want it red, I want it black. I can come in here, change the color. I don't want it quite that big, maybe 14, that's good. I want to show you the difference between a stamp and this label with the variable, okay? Sent date and time, button abbreviation. I already have one DT, sent date and time. I'm going to save that. Now I can click that, okay? And this one won't resize the same way as the stamp does. All it does, see, if I make it big, it does not do anything. If I make it small, it will word wrap. Okay, so the text won't get any bigger, but it will word wrap. Okay, so that's a way that you can create a label stamp with a variable. Now, I do want to show you how we create transparent stamps, and I'm going to include the tool that we use as a download link in the follow-up email. This way you can see how we do it. You can do it on your own if you'd like, okay? So usually what you do is you're going to scan in your stamp. And a lot of times I've noticed it comes in as a PDF, okay? So I brought this one in, it's a PDF. What you can do is screen grab and select the stamp. Okay, I have a different tool that I use to crop things. I don't want to use that today because I know most of you don't have this, if any. So what I'm going to do is just put it on my clipboard. I'm going to open Word. Most of you have Word, and I'm going to show you how you can crop images in Word and save it that way. So pretend that we did a screen grab. It's on my clipboard. Okay, so I don't want the stamp quite this big, even though I'm going to make it transparent. I want it smaller. So what I'm going to do is right click on it. You see these two buttons? We have the crop button here. So I'm going to crop it down, kind of as close as I can get it. Okay, now that we're cropped down, I'm going to right click and I can save as picture. Okay, and I'm going to save it in my stamps folder. I'm just going to call it leave it picture one, and it's going to save as a ping file, PNG, okay? So we're going to save that. And now I'm going to go to my tool, my transparency helper. Like I said, I'm going to include this in the email so you guys can have access to this. It's very simple. Okay, it's going to ask you where your file is. I'm going to browse for it. Let's find it here. Here's my picture. We're going to open it up, and there's a button here that says make transparent. Boom, it says the image is now transparent. So I can close this. And just to show you what that looks like, if I click open my picture, I have a black background. So it's showing that this is actually transparent. If it wasn't transparent, you'd see a white field behind it. Okay, so I'm going to close that, jump back into green folders, and we're going to make this a stamp. We're going to go to our custom annotations button. We're going to hit the wrench again. I'm going to create a new stamp. This time I'm going to use the image, and we're going to find the image that we just created with the transparent background. So we're going to click that. I'm going to go to my stamps folder. Here we go. And now I'm going to click it. And there it is. Now, if I want it this big, by default, I can do that. I can make it smaller by default. That's fine. You can always change the size after you put it on the document. Okay, so this is what I want. It's going to be read and approved. Okay. So now we're going to save that. And it's going to be visible. So now here's our transparent stamp. Notice if I move it over something, it's like a real stamp. It doesn't have a white field. You can click and drag that anywhere. So what a lot of people do, and I think a lot of you have done, is if you want your signature on this stamp, if you want your initials on this stamp, put your stamp on a white piece of paper, sign how you want it to be signed, initial it how you want it to be initialed, and then you can do what I just did and make the background transparent, bring it here into green folders, and it can just be your private thing, or you can share it. Let's say you have an assistant that you want to be able to stamp with your signature or your custom stamps. We have this sharing button down here. And you can choose all the users. I don't have many users in mind, but you can choose the users that you'd like to share your custom stamps with. Okay. And one other thing with annotations, if you have annotations and you want to burn them, right? This is like an overhead projector. When you burn it, it's going to go through the plastic transparency, and that's now permanent. If you then go and share this to Portal Sync, for example, for those of you who use Portal Sync, all these annotations are going to show up for the parties that you're sharing your documents to. Okay. So today, like I said, we went over annotations. We talked about how you can create an annotation with variables. I did want to show you, that's right. Okay. I did add some common ones. I like my check mark. Okay, that one can come in handy when you're working with forms. I do have a folder name. Any folder that I'm in, I can just click and it'll just put whatever folder I am in green folders. Okay, so you can do a whole lot with these. So look through the list of things that the variables that you can use, and they could come in handy. It could save you an extra few clicks, which is what we're all about. And then we talked about the difference between a stamp that can be resized and a label stamp that just word wraps. And then I showed you how to create a custom stamp with a transparent background. So again, I'll be sending in the follow-up email, I'll be sending a download link where you can download our transparency helper. Made it really easy. I'm also going to send a link to the recording because I moved really quickly. And you can watch that and pause it when you need to pause it, and you can see how to do that. So I will be sending that out a little bit later today. It takes a few minutes for this recording to process. So if you have any questions or need additional help, please reach out to me and we can schedule some time to connect. So thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. And I look forward to seeing you guys next month. Have a good one. Bye-bye.